Hello, YouTube. I'm here with what I consider one of the best decks to play when the format rotates come April. But I'm not talking just about rotation. Even now, it's incredible to play. I am, in fact, talking about Abra, Kadabra, Alakazam. Yes, Alakazam. Its strategy is straightforward, but that doesn't mean that it isn't strong. The deck revolves around drawing out a ton of cards, then swinging with a massive amount of power to one-hit almost anything that stands in front of it. In addition, the deck runs mostly single prize Pokemon, so the prize trade is usually in your favor. So let's get into the deck profile real fast, along with some pros and cons of the deck that we ran into when running this into a top 16 finish of a 150-man tournament. Up first is, of course, our main attacker line with a 4-4-3 count of Abra, Kadabra, Alakazam. For those who don't know, Kadabra has an ability that when you play it from your hand to evolve Abra, you can choose to draw 2 cards. Further, when you evolve Alakazam, you get the same ability, but you get to draw 3 cards instead. Stringing evolutions together allows you to draw for quite a lot over a single turn. Following them, we run a 4-4 line of Dunsparce and Dunsparce. Once again, this Pokemon has a huge draw potential with Dunsparce's Runaway Draw ability, where you can draw 3 cards, then shuffle him and all attached cards to him back into the deck, another big way to draw a lot of cards very fast. Everything else we run is a 1 count, and there's just the supporters of the deck. That's Fan Rotom for early game setup with Dunsparce, Psyduck to counter that pesky Dusknoir that's running around the meta, and Pheasantipity for an extra draw 3 when it really matters. Moving away from our Pokemon, we go to supporters, with a 3 count of Boss's Orders, Hilda, and Dawn. Boss helps us choose targets and get knockouts we need to keep pace with our opponent. Dawn searches for a basic, Stage 1, and Stage 2 Pokemon. Our only Stage 2 is Alakazam, but otherwise our Stage 1s are Kadabra for drawing 2, or Dunsparce for drawing 3. And our basic can even add a Pheasantipity to the hand to also allow us to draw 3. Finally, Hilda allows us to grab an evolution Pokemon like Kadabra or Dunsparce and an energy. More to why that's important when we get to our energies in a minute. Further supporters consist of a 2 count Cypher Maniac's code breaking, and that's not for what you may think it's for. We actually use it as an Iono counter. By the end of most of our turns, we already set up with a boatload of cards in hand. But if we can end on the Cypher Maniac as our supporter for the turn, we can add any 2 cards from the deck to the top of the deck, playing around an opponent who may try to use an Iono to weaken our attack by adding cards we guarantee draw into, since Iono will still allow us to draw cards to our hand equal to the amount of prizes we still have. Finally, we have a 1 of Colress Tenacity for Stadium and Energy Searching if needed. Moving forward, our stadiums are set to 3 count Battle Cages, protecting our bench from Dusknoir, Munkidori, and other Pokemon that wish to drop damage counters on our bench, and a 1 of Artisan. Our items shouldn't need much explaining, so let me roll them off real quick. 4 count Buddy Buddy Poffin, 3 count Rare Candy, 2 count Wonder Patch, 2 count Pokepad, 2 Night Stretcher, and 2 Enhanced Hammer. And finally, a 1 count of Counter Catcher. Our energy count is super slim since Alakazam only needs 1 energy to attack, so it only has 3 Psychic Energy, 1 Jet Energy, and 1 Ace Spec. The Enriching Energy. For those of you who don't know what Enriching Energy does, it states that when it gets played from your hand to attach to a Pokemon, it allows you to draw 4 cards. All right, let's get into that gameplay. Now, quick reminder, these are actual games that we had when we were in our tournament this last Sunday in the Blue Ditto tournament event. This is only a couple of the games where we actually did end up playing. We did end up getting a top 16 finish, along with another Alakazam player who actually got a top 4 finish. Again, just solidifying that Alakazam does have a place in top meta competitive play. So let's just get into it and show you guys how the deck really runs, and I can explain a few things that we had to learn to play around and things that we saw that was good and bad with the deck. And a reminder, these are at 250% speed, so they're much faster than the actual gameplay. Honestly, I'm gonna be 100% honest. This deck can play first and or second. It does like to go first a lot more because it's runs the Buddy Buddy Poffin, so it allows us to set up things like Fan Rotom and all of our Dunsparces and our Abras because everything needs to evolve in order for it to kind of do anything. Well, even if we go second, we still run things like Rare Candy, and all our supporters help us find our cards that we're missing for the early game, so it does make things go pretty well. We ran into Kangabox. Funny enough, Absol Box is actually really good into Alakazam. Alakazam's really good into Absol Box because we don't exactly weaken any of their Pokemon, and usually their Monkey Dories are meant for if you hit them and not get a KO, they can move the Monkey Dory damage back, but we are able to draw enough cards to get a one-shot KO, so we only have to take out 2 Pokemon, just 2 Megas, the game is over. And we just do that because there's so little for them to do. This is our literal first turn, really, when we get to start playing things. We get to multiple Dunsparces. Our whole board is just kind of there. We got an Alakazam, 2 Kadabras, multiple Dunsparces going off. We're going into Hilda, setting up our future turns because, well, I mean, what am I not like? What else am I supposed to do, you know? So we just want to make sure that we are set up for the next turn play, where if we can get all these setups, we can actually start getting some knockouts. So we do a big chunk of damage here, and because we put down the battle cage, we don't have to worry about our bench getting hit, and our opponent's board state is kind of awful. Usually they'll have the 1 energy on the Kangaskhan, so that way they can use Turbo Energize to set up bench energies, but they really did not get a really good early start. They think they can hide, so they went with the Monkey Dory play, so I don't get a free triple prizer. With a lot of deliberation, I'm like, how can I get this to work? So I'm just trying to, like, set myself up, you know? I don't want to look for bosses. I don't want to try and draw a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just picking stuff up with Cypher Maniac, so if my opponent goes cool Iono play, I'm still going to draw 5, so those 2 cards that I put on the top of the deck are going to go straight to my hand. And one of them is a Dawn, which can get me a Alakazam, so I can evolve the Kadabra that's on the bench with an energy, so I draw 3 extra cards. The Dawn can get me a Fez as well as a basic, and then an extra 1 card that can go into my hand that's a stage 1. Maybe a Kadabra, maybe a Dunsparce. But either way, I can still get those cards to draw me Fez 3, Alakazam 3, and just, I already have 5 in my hand. Outside of the Dawn, I'm going to have four other cards that I'm going to be looking at. So, like, and the other one was Alakazam, so I could get 2 Alakazams for draw 4, or draw 6. Dunsparce draws 3 more, Fez draws us 3 more. So even with an Iono to set me to 5, I end up going to plus 12 before anything else I draw. So that's what the Cypher Maniacs is for. It's not meant for, like, okay, I do that, then I play Kadabra and draw the 2 cards that I just got to my hand. It literally is, okay, if my opponent plays an Iono, what can I put on the top of my deck? So that way I automatically will draw into it in order to reset my entire board to get my hand back so I can take a knockout. Obviously, our opponent's not getting very lucky with Iono pulls, but even if you look at our board state, we have a open Kadabra that we can evolve into an Alakazam. If we get it, you know, if they knock out our Alakazam, we have an Alakazam in the discard pile for our 2 Night Stretchers that we run to get Alakazam back, or we can just draw into it like we did with this. Which Judge is awful because we lose everything. But we got an Alakazam to draw 3. We have a Dunsparce on the board already to draw another 3. If he takes a knockout, like I just showed you there, we can get a Dawn to go get Fez, or just draw a whole bunch. Like, we have so many different things we can do. Since he used Judge, this doesn't matter, but usually I want a Town Store just to shuffle my deck, check to see what I have, see where I can go with it. Runaway Draw gets me my cards back. I'm just trying to figure out what I can do here. I have the bosses. I just need to get enough damage to get a 2-prizer, but I don't have enough cards to really do it, so I'm just trying to, like, build up now. He has the free retreat with Petch to get the Mega Absol back, so it does kind of suck, but I'm trying to deliberate. Where can I go with this, you know? And I figure, why not just make the swing, or why not make the retreat, because I can give up one of my Pokemon. This is fine. Alakazam is still there. I still have Wonder Patch to get my Psychic Energy back. I can still have a Kadabra to evolve into to draw 2. We can just try and stall out. And then my opponent hits me with an Iono. Fair because of that, but he somehow gave me a much better option, because now I can get my Stage 1, my Stage 2, and my Pheasantipity if he takes a knockout. So I can end up getting Fez draws 3, the Dunsparce draws 3, Alakazam draws 3, and that's without the rare candy in my... Until, it gets deleted, because that's just how that deck works. Into a top deck draw 4. So, fair. Hilda goes to get me another evolution Pokemon. Well, sure. Doesn't make too much of a difference. We wanted to go with the draw 2. This makes sense. In the long short, this does make sense. If we get the draw 2, it doesn't put the Dunsparce and the Enriching Energy back in the deck. I don't need to draw them. I need to draw other things to help me get more value. So we end up just using this turn to draw a few extra things. If we lose a Dunsparce or Kadabra here, it doesn't change anything. But also, he had nothing to really play around this, and I'm just needing to find my answers. The Mega Absol, discarding a card from your opponent's hand, does kind of suck. You just kind of forget about it. But I think this is where my opponent makes a fumble, where it's like you could get rid of Tulip here or Dawn, and those are just 1,000 times better than the Stadium, because it's like, okay, you only get 30 extra health. I don't care for that. I'm still going to, it's just 2 extra cards. Or a Stadium where I can get rid of it, and that's, 1 minus from hand. But so there's our Dawn, grants us our +3, our other +3, and we want to get rid of the Dunsparce first this time, so we get the enhanced energy back into our hand, or into our deck. So if we draw into it, we can draw 4. And we have 3 Dunsparces ready to evolve into Dunsparces to draw more cards. So we're just looking for pieces at this point. Which, Alakazam, draw 3. Dunsparce, draw 3. Dunsparce, draw 3. Pheasantipity, draw 3. Dunsparce, draw 3 more. Drawing 15 cards in one phase. We just have to find a way to get a Psychic Energy. We find it. Get rid of his Stadium, so now he's down even more. And, powerful hand. Bye. I'm pretty sure if we ran through that game again, there are better options I could have made in certain turns to kind of counter things. But I think that game is what gave us the idea of we should put a second Cypher Maniac in the deck. During this tournament, we only ran the one of Cypher Maniac, but it was too powerful of a card because of how often we can just put it as a counter of, hey, my opponent might be able to play an Iono after I do 300 damage with Alakazam to ruin my hand. So how about I add, 2 Dawns to the top of my deck and then just counterplay my opponent? This was an awful start for me, but we still get there. So we have Abra in the active, which is good. Hitting a Fan Rotom off of Artisan to get triple Dunsparce when we have 2 Dunsparce in hand. Pretty good feeling. My opponent starts Monkey. He uses Artisan and whiffs on purpose because he wanted to look at his deck. That way he can use Arven to guarantee he has an Ace Spec in deck, to guarantee what Pokemon he might have, to know which way he wants to go. That was my assumption. Or maybe he just went Artisan and didn't like playing down a second Monkey Dory, so he just didn't. Which, realistically, it's fair, because if you're up against Alakazam, you understand I'm just going to hit you as hard as I possibly can every single turn, and it does not matter. I do remember this matchup, and my opponent was very, very cool in the tournament because they forget that I place damage counters and not damage, which is another minor thing, but it definitely might come up for you if you try playing Alakazam. But you gotta remember, Alakazam places damage counters, not does damage and has an ability. Like Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which says prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon from Pokemon that have an ability. We don't do damage. We do damage counters. So it cuts through the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. It took me a little time of, in my own head going, how do I counterplay this? How do I win this matchup? What am I supposed to do? I'm wondering, should I use Enhance Hammer because I can get rid of his Mist Energy so it's harder for him to attack next turn? Should I set up certain cards? I'm trying to think to myself, should I just go for it? Do I get everything? Because I need a rare candy. I need an energy. I need Alakazam. I didn't have any of those things. If I draw 9, maybe I get there. I just use Teleportation Attack to get my Abra to the bench. But he's down in energy. we're set up with Fan Rotom. If we put an energy on Fan Rotom, it's easy to, retreat, send the energy to the discard pile, and not even worry about it. Unfortunately, though, my opponent just played a manual energy placement, so he just has Ogerpon. And now, since I've lost a Pokemon, I have Fez in hand from my turn 1 search, so I get a draw 3. And I think I'm pretty sure in this instance, I just go, do I not just win if I take out the one Pokemon that has energy on the board? So I just look around like, okay, if I just put a rare candy in the top of my deck, I just kind of get it. I'm drawing 3, so I might as well like add something else. So like Kadabra, because I have Abra on the bench. I drew into another rare candy, funny enough. So like I could have gone rare candy and rare candy into 2 Alakazams. It's not necessary, and you shouldn't do that, because then you lose the opportunity if your opponent does Iono you to get an Alakazam to draw into 3. So you just go to the Kadabra, get your energy that you need, or get your cards that you need. Plenty more than 11 cards in hand for 22, and we just kind of like look around. What should I do? Bonk. Now he's out 3 energies, no plays, and it's basically just going to be downhill from here. The Clutch Yveltal was a reasoning as to why I used to have 2 Jet Energies in this deck, because I don't appreciate getting stuck. But I realized that outside of Yveltal, there is no Pokemon that I'm against having in the active. And we could do stunts like this, where we can use our Jet Energy on a Dunsparce to put the Dunsparce forward, use Dunsparce to shuffle itself and the Jet Energy back into the deck, and then bring up the Pokemon that we want to have in the active, making Clutch effectively useless. In this instance, we're just playing around Iono, because if we can take a 1 prizer here, we go down to 3 prizes, which is very, very good, because even if we get Iono, it will still draw 3. We also have the setup play for the follow-up turns, and it just makes things a little bit better for us, because as you can see here, I'm going Dawn Pokepad. Realistically, I should have just gone into like 2 Dawns, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I thought, oh yeah, so if I get Iono, we'll be fine. I'll draw 3. I get the Iono and the Pokepad, which allows me to get, a basic, a stage 1 like Kadabra or Dunsparce, and then another Alakazam. So I could just, evolve the Kadabra, evolve the Dunsparce, and use the Pheasantipity all in 1 turn. But I thought about it a little late, because if you get an attack off with, like, if he uses Iono and then uses Absol to attack, he can just throw away the Dawn, and then I don't have a Dawn, and I just have a Pokepad, and I have to pray that my draws are helpful. So, if you're up against Kangaskhan Absol box, 100% you got to think about what happens if my opponent can delete a card from my hand, because that is what Absol box is known for, is to take away your utilization tools. Yes, we have a hand like this, which is 47 cards in our hand, but if your opponent goes after pieces that are necessary, or setup pieces and such, it could be very bad for you. We do have a pretty solid win rate into this. We're more so afraid of just the missed energies and then not having an Enhanced Hammer to get rid of it, which is why we run 2 Enhanced Hammers. My opponent thought he was safe. So now we just kind of do everything we can. We draw. We Pokepad. We, look at our board state. We get another Alakazam. So we go -2 with the rare candy into a draw 3, because rare candy Alakazam is -2. Then we go +3. Then we use the Dunsparce, draw 3. And we just hit him. How much damage does that do? Smack damage. Goodbye. It's so funny, that Enriching Energy, I forgot I didn't even have it in the deck. I do remember this when we were doing the tournament. I was like, I forgot it was even in the deck. It was not necessary. It's a great card. Amazing. Even. Because you can combo it with using Wondrous Patch to give an energy to your bench for free, and then you can use Enriching Energy as your play energy, and then shuffle. Boop, boop, boop. Wonderful Fan Rotom turn 1. We don't want to hit. We don't want Fez getting hit. It's definitely possible he could get a Clefairy play where he can actually get the damage, potentially. I didn't look at what my opponent's archetype or deck was, so I was thinking, oh, it's got Clefairy. It might be it might be the Terra Box list that runs Clefairy. It could be so many different things. And if it's got a Crespin, he might just be able to get 2 energies, get a knockout on Fez, and I'll just be down 2. So I decided I'd rather give up Fan Rotom. And then he put down this. So the biggest unfortunate session is that if you run into Team Rockets, and there is usually never a Team Rockets in a tournament. If there is, it's like a one of at best. Unfortunately for me, I ran into the one Team Rockets deck that was being played that night, and it's an auto loss. Unless... The reason I put this in is as a informational piece. Team Rocket's Articuno does exist. And unfortunately, because of that, we kind of get an auto loss with it, because it protects all basic Team Rocket's Pokemon from the effects of attacks, and Alakazam's damage is an effect of an attack because it places damage counters. So we got incredibly unlucky into this matchup, but I always remind everyone that no matter what, even if it's a low ball percent, there is always a percent chance where you can win a matchup, and this is that time. Our opponent, we did find out afterwards, prized the Articuno, so instead of us just getting blown away, we were able to just win the matchup. We were just waiting to see if he found Articuno, because like during this point when I was just playing him, I did not know if he had Articuno. We knew we could do the damage here, so we just don't do anything. Our board state is set up that if we get Alakazam, we can draw 3, but we have 2 Dunsparces to draw 6 at any point. And then we have Fez, if he takes a knockout, to draw 3. He goes Proton. I was like, why would you use Transceiver instead of, I don't know, anything else, like Ariana, to reset your hand, because he only had 2 cards. Then he went Proton. I was like, oh, right, Proton can get him the Articuno. But then he didn't get it, and that's when I'm like, you're either not running it, or it got prized. Since we took 2 prizes on one, we wanted to go into 2-prizer, 2-prizer, 2-prizer mode, and that was our big idea, and we already know how much damage we could do, so we just went, alright, well, let's just set up. I believe we did 26 before, so by drawing a card and then playing a card and getting our 2 prizes, we're hitting for like 300 or whatever it is. And we just know we can take knockouts. He has a free retreat Mimikyu. I don't know why I said it like that. Just Mimikyu. But he's got a free retreat Mimikyu, so he can get back. And then he has the Spite Ops, which can make an attack at this point. Obviously, he means to try and attack with Mewtwo, but it's just not going to go there. I got rid of the stadium, so Ariana doesn't get the reset to 8, then draw 2 more, which is pretty nifty. And I just showed it off, but it's behind me right now, but I have an Enriching Energy in hand as well, so I have so many draw options. I just need to find the other boss's orders, because I know it's still in the deck, just to basically win the game right now. So we're just looking into, like, there's a pretty good chance I win this, right? I just check again. Draw more. Fez for free. Get an enriching play. Draw 3. Draw 4. Find bosses. We still had another 6 more cards we can draw off of getting both the Dunsparces, which is apparently what I do. Just to show off big damage, I guess. And just take a swing. 600 damage. I have 30 cards. This is an okay hand, I have to admit, because we got the free retreat, we got the Abra, which is all good. Oh, that's right. I wanted to show this game specifically because we do make a misplay. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't. But it's another instance of don't think you're out of the game by making a misplay, because both my opponent and I make a misplay. He wanted to go Riolu, accelerating stab, plus 30 with the Gatorade, so we do 60 damage, but I have a minus 30 for resistance, so I don't get knocked out. And in doing so, I free up space to try and, like, work around some things. So, you know, I already have an energy, so I go, all right, here we go, Kadabra. So I can draw 2, I have Enriching Energy, I have a Stadium to remove, I have so many pieces of things that I can do that I forget about the thing that I should have done. You know, I get excited. I'm like, all right, I got some draws. I can actually set up my board. This is going to be much better now. You know, I'm not just like stuck, and I could have swung right there. 4 weakness, 60 damage on that Riolu, leaving him with 20 HP. And even if he evolves, leaving it with 280 HP, which is a lot easier to hit, obviously, than 340 HP. And also, we're losing our Kadabra if he gets an attack off. Luckily for me, he only has one card in hand, and he only can set up a Riolu with one energy, so... And we know one of the cards in his hand is literally the Hariyama. I think he throws it away with the Ultra Ball from before, but he's not, like, really doing anything. So we get our basic Fez, our evolved Dunsparce, and we have Kadabra in hand, but we might also pick up, or we did have it, sorry, the rare candy to draw 3. So we get to draw 9 whole cards using Dawn, which is -1 using Dawn, then +9, so we go +8 overall. And now we're just looking at all the nifty cards we have, and just going, I think I have enough for damage. Do I get it? I do. I did the math. 17 cards in hand for 340. And that was it. Our opponent could not come back from that. He only had 2 cards in hand. None of them, I guess nothing was a redraw or anything, but we were able to deal with 340 HP on a back-end board, and that was all we needed to win the game. I believe this is our last round that we record for this video here. I don't actually remember what this one was. Ah, yes, it was another Absol box. Just a quick reminder, though, since Kangaskhan is pretty large, there is Kangaskhan Bouffalant, the Kangaskhan box. And we don't even care for that, because Bouffalant protects you from 60 damage, and we place damage counters, which does cut over the damage blocker. So their maximum, I think, is what, 380 by using Lively Stadium and Bravery Charm. And we do not worry. We just punch them in the face and move on. A single prize versus a triple prize type deck, pretty funny. Obviously, our opponent starts with the amazing card of Arven into Precious Trolley, but this board state was a little awkward. I don't know if he was missing things or what, but we got the unlucky start where he hit us with Team Rocket's Watchtower. Funny, though, I don't think he actually drew using the Mega Kangaskhan there and then played the Team Rocket's Watchtower and kind of screwed us up. Luckily, our Kadabra draw gets us our stadium, so we can start using the Dunsparces, which I then abuse. I got the Alakazam in hand, so I'm like, if I get lucky, I could rare candy into Alakazam and then put up big damage, potentially even knocking out this Kangaskhan. So we just do as much as we can in terms of drawing everything we can. I check to see how much I have in my hand. I'm like, can I get a knockout with this? Before I start switching in the Pokemon. And I'm like, I think I can. I think it's possible. Oh, no, I take a step back. That's right. I try and set up for future turns, because if I no matter what, I'm going to be taking a triple. So we just set up all of our cards, take a look around, see what I got. And then since we don't have much of other play, we don't want our opponent discarding our enhanced energy, so we actually play it just to get the draw 4. If we lose it, we lose it, but at least we kind of like force an Iono play if they wanted to use it. And we have our Cypher Maniacs for Dawn. And I think this is where I make the mistake where I'm like, I could have just gone 2 Dawns, and I just didn't. Because if we get Iono'd here, then we have 1 Dawn in hand, and, you know, the other card that we put down, and 4 other cards that we don't know, but he has Alakazam. So, I mean, he has Absol, which makes things a little bit rough. So there he goes, setting himself up. We have a hand of Dawn, Dunsparce, Rare Candy. We're like, oh, we're so set up, and I completely forgot that Absol can delete things. If not, I could have just had put 2 Dawns in my hand, and it would have been fine, because then I could just draw a whole bunch, but unfortunately, he throws away my Dawn, and we have to just pray as much as possible, and hope we can get somewhere. Go with the free retreat Dunsparce, and we just try and shuffle our deck, because he used Iono, and we needed some of those cards. So by using Town Store, it does shuffle. Draw. We ended up getting a draw into a, you know, Fez for more draw. Rare Candy for Alakazam for more draw. You know, we're doing our best. We're seeing what we can do. We don't have too much to work with, but we need to keep going. And we just set ourselves up again, this time a little bit better in terms of play, because we need a Psychic Energy to attack. We need Pokepad to get more pieces, but we also have options for just evolved Pokemon in case we're playing around Iono. So, yeah. I forgot that I did that. I was playing around in Mist Energy as well, so we want that in our hand just in case he gets it. But I think we have enough to put up damage that matters. Or I'm just setting up for future turns. I'm not quite sure what I was doing here. Hold on. Pause. Where was I going with this? Oh, that's right. I could take a knockout because I'm expecting to take a single prizer, a triple prizer, and a double prizer as my plan of action. So I wanted to get rid of the Monkey Dory that had an energy. I don't know if I had enough. I think I only was 180 at that point to hit. so I didn't want to leave the Monkey Dory, but I also could have gone after the Yveltal as well. But Yveltal, like I said before, not really much of a threat since we have the Jet Energy combo that we can go Jet Energy to Dunsparce, retreat it back into the deck, and still keep ourselves from getting locked in. Yeah, so as you can see, my opponent can now look at my hand using that attack again and delete something. My thought process was if he got rid of Enhanced Hammer, he could just win by going Mist Energy, and it's over at that point. So I figured, okay, he'll go after Enhanced Hammer, and then I think he just doesn't. Yeah, he went after Wondrous Patch, which was very much a unique play. I did not expect him to do it, so we have our free draw 3. We hit another Wondrous Patch. Oh, look, we got our Wondrous Patch again, so it doesn't matter. We get a free draw 3 with Fez, look around a bit. We get another draw 3. We have so many cards we're just working with, so we're seeing what we can do in terms of damage. We do have Night Stretcher to get ourselves set up again with another draw 3. Yippee. I don't know how many cards I have in my hand, so I wouldn't be able to figure this one out. I haven't played another one of these things where it's like you can use the Enhanced Energy because you used that Wonder Patch. I have access to use it now, so I go -2 by playing a card, playing Enhanced, draw 4, and now I'm just kind of like, how can I set up for the future? Every turn is I have 47 cards in hand. How do I play around if my opponent Ionos me? What can I do for a future play, and can I get a knockout? And I was able to. So we just take our time. Now we're down to 2 prizes, so that both of his Megas are liable for winning the game, and that Petron is also liable for winning the game. But now he's out his energies. Things are a little bit more difficult to look at since I'm kind of set up. I have that Pheasantipity right there. I have 2 Dunsparces, so Dunsparce is an easy pickup for draw 4. Any supporter allows me to get every piece that I need. I still have an Abra in hand. I have an Abra on the board with an Alakazam and a Rare Candy in my hand, so I can just keep going. But I was already able to show off that I had enough damage to get the knockout on the Petron, and I just had the Psychic Energy, so they called that. So, there are plenty of cards you can add into the deck, depending on what your locals may look like. If you guys want to try and bring this deck to locals, I would highly suggest it. It is one of the best single prize decks that I've ever really seen, and in the current meta, it's probably one of, if not the best. The Battle Cage protects your bench from Frostlass, from Monkey Dory, from Dusk Noir. I've seen many of people make mistakes when they use Dusknoir, Dusclops, and then ping the bench because Abra only has 50 HP. So Dusclops, the middle evolution, can ping 5 damage, and people get excited because they see 5 damage, and they do it immediately, and you get a free prize for it. Your opponent gets nothing out of it. So I've seen it happen before. It's definitely funny. We also run Psyduck to stop the Noirs from exploding at all. In case our stadium gets overwritten with something like Jamming Tower when it comes to Dragapult. There are other cards you can add into the deck, like Lily's Clefairy. You can use Wonder Patch to get an energy from the discard pile onto Lily's Clefairy, and then hit it with Enhanced, hit it with Jet, hit it with another Psychic Energy, and then a Clefairy can swing for, double Psychic damage against Dragapult, against other dragons to get a free knockouts. Some people added... I had Shaman in the list for Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon, and Greninja. I wasn't really hitting those too much or seeing them really at all in tournaments, so I took out the Shaman, but you can also run it to counter things like Hydreigon, depending on what your locals are looking like. I personally will vouch for the Cypher Maniacs code breaking, and with a little bit of practice, you can do things that I didn't, I clearly didn't do. By playing around things like Absol Box, by getting your hand set up with multiple copies of certain things, so that way Absol can't deal with you. But it also plays around things like Iono, where during this meta, you can play around Iono, but in the next meta, Iono's gone. The best they have is maybe Unfair Stamp. That's fair. But Unfair Stamp, I think, says damage, so I think it actually works around Unfair Stamp. I'd have to look at that again. I don't know if it just says knocked out or by damage. I'm not sure. They run maybe Judge, which if you have to reset your hand and draw 4, that's not a bad thing. It's like 4 is a lot with that deck. 1 card can end up drawing you 3 cards. Like, the draw values are draw 2, draw 3, draw 3, draw 4. Like, you can just pop off with 1 card. So, like, if you draw 4, that's pretty good value that you can probably find something that can help you draw into the rest of your deck. Anyway, Tell me what you guys think in the comments below, and tell me what kind of decks you want to see next. Our next video, I'm pretty sure, is going to be on Earthworm. So if you guys are interested in Steel-type decks, come by on Thursday if you guys want to see that deck getting tested for our upcoming weekend tournament. Catch you guys next time.